I went back to my hotel room that night in Paris and I asked myself three questions. What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What would I do if no one paid me to do it? What makes me come alive? And that third question came out of a book that I was reading at the time, and it's the quote from the philosopher Howard Thurman. Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs are people who come alive. And coach, it was like the 4th of July fireworks went off in me because I said, I want to speak, write, train, consult, and coach. And what I recognize is when it is time for you to own the moment, you will come to a place of frustration. And frustration is a gift because it is that invitation that says your season has ended where you are, and you are being invited into a greater reality that would unleash the next dimension of your potential. So your potential is not released on the level that you are on, because that's the familiar. Your potential is released in a new dimension where it's unfamiliar, where you don't know what you don't know, but you begin to trust the process and you stop looking through the rear view mirror of where you've been and you look through the windshield of where you're going. And when you own that moment creates momentum. And momentum creates monumental results. Reverse engineer. Monumental results come from the momentum, and the root word of momentum is moments. Number one, pay attention to what continues to cause unrest in your soul. Okay. When I say unrest in your soul, it's the tap on the shoulder that gets you out of bed in the wee hours of the morning. You go to the refrigerator, you open the refrigerator, and you close it back, not taking anything out of the refrigerator, because it's not as if you were hungry or thirsty. The hunger or thirst is in the core of your soul. So as you are paying attention to what's coming up, number one. Number two, your dreams. Dreams are sneak previews of a coming attraction. So, what are you dreaming about? What are you imagining? And somebody might be listening and say, Simon, I don't dream or imagine. Well, hold on. Are there times throughout the day where you daydream about something else? That's a sneak preview of what's coming up in your spirit and in your soul. And then the third thing is to take time at the end of the day and just reflect. How did I grow today? And the moment you stop asking that question, you stop living, because growth is about moving into the future. So when I ask myself, how did I grow today? It could just be one micro step, one idea you learned, you saw, you listened, you felt, you heard, you were a part of, and you grew a little bit better than the day before. The moment you stop growing in a place, that is the time to assess, what else can I do? So, yeah, my mentor said to me a number of years ago, you weren't born to fit in, you were born to be brilliant. And I said to him, I said, how can you say that? He said, you're stuck in your mind and your body thinking the pigmentation of your skin limits you. And I am here to tell you that you weren't born to fit in, you're born to be brilliant. And when he said it, it unlocked something in me. And I started doing a lot of research to understand brilliant and brilliance. Well, you don't go very far unless you stumble upon a diamond. And as I began to study about a diamond, as you know, a diamond is formed through heat, pressure, and change. And when I realized the heat and the pressure and the change that I was going through, I recognized that everyone has brilliance in them, but they have to tap into the DNA system that causes them to thrive and reach their full potential. So there are people listening to us right now. You are a diamond or diamond in the rough. But what allows you to reach your full potential is the environment. Every diamond is put into a setting. And in that setting, we begin to understand the color, the carat, the cut, right, of the diamond. And as we begin to understand the setting or the environment, as the light hits it, as strife and worry and things that happen in life hits that diamond, it shines from the inside out.
It's even in Frozen 2, they have this whole song about doing the next right thing. And over the past 2 years, something really hit me because when we talk about doing the next right thing, it's usually from a place of desperation.
Hmm.
We are like hurting. We're in a spot and we want out. We're lost. We can't see the path. We want change. We want, right? And there is this agony that comes with it. And over the last couple of years, I realized that it does not have to be that way. It does not have to be, oh my God, what comes next? Where is it? Where's the thing? It really can be fun. It can be like a scavenger hunt of,
Yes.
all right, I'm going to do the next right thing. I don't know what it is. I'm going to go find it and, or I'm going to create it. And it does not have to be agony. It can be enjoyable and fun, and it can be okay to not know and to enjoy where you are in the not knowing.
Change is change is change. It's constant. It is going to happen. You can't stop it from happening. It will happen whether you like it or not. So we know point number one, change is going to happen to everyone. So be open and embrace the change when it comes. And so let's move down to the psychology. For change in psychology, I like that one because we can affect our behavior, we can affect our thoughts, we can affect our emotions. See, I have a little bit of control on that. That's if I'm conscious enough to be aware. Because if I constantly experience change and then I don't change in the process, then I'm going to have some problems here. There's change comes intentionally for a result. So, are we conscious enough to know that, you know what, I got to do something different here? Let's talk about transformation for a minute. That involves a profound and radical shift, fundamentally altering the nature, the purpose, or the structure of something. It actually goes beyond simple change, and it actually results in a complete metamorphosis. Oh my gosh, I love the metamorphosis. We all know about the how the butterfly transforms into this beautiful butterfly that can fly, but it doesn't always start out like that. And so, transformation, I like to say it like this, it's an inside out job. You know, you're not allowing the external things to cause you to change. That's why it's so temporary. But this is the work that is inside out. It's a hidden job of the heart, I personally believe. But it involves complete reorganization of your inner life and your external behavior, because what's in you, or I should say it like this, you become what you think about all the time. So if I'm constantly thinking thoughts of terror, thoughts of negativity, thoughts of doom, guess what? I'm going to have that on the outside no matter how much, how many people that I'm around that are positive, because I have not done the work to change the inside to actually match the outside. See, I much would rather dictate my internal weather. I always talk about what's your weather today. Let me hear your weather check. Is it cloudy? Is it sunny? You have rainbow. You know, what is it? You control your emotional weather. Now, external circumstances can cause you to feel some kind of way. But even then, I have a choice, a conscious choice to let that thing bother me, to let that person move me in the wrong directions, to change, to alter my brand. See, it's conscious, it's intentional. As I intentionally can either let someone tick me off, or I can say, you know what, I see what that is and respond appropriately. There's a scripture that says, don't run from suffering, embrace it, embrace it. So when you embrace your challenges, you begin to start transforming. And that's what's simply beautiful about it. Point number one, change is coming. So get ready for it. Change is coming. So don't run from change. Don't run from it, the suffering that you're experiencing. Embrace it, because who I am today is not who I am destined to be in the future. See, it is a journey of self discovery. Last year, I was a different person. And so my task is to be better than I was yesterday, today. And it's a constant, empowering, transformative work of me working on myself so that I can become a better human being.
I wanted to write a blog. I had the idea for almost 10 years to write. This trajectory could have been fast forwarded a decade. But I waited, and I waited because I waited. I don't know what I waited for, like a group of doves to fly across my house in the sign of a cross to be like, it's now your time, Shola, go to work. Like, what am I waiting for? Like, that didn't happen. It's like, just move, just go. And that was something I wish I realized early on, because I wasted a ton of time, literally a decade.
Well, that's great because, I was even thinking about this podcast because it was birthed in 2020, but it's 2022. So it took me a couple of years to actually do it.
Well,
Actually
to your
move
credit,
into
though, you
action.
did it. What's
I
the
did
old
it.
saying? It says, like, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, at least you're doing it. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that you should be very, very proud of, because a lot of people
Yes.
talk about this and didn't do it. And here you are. The first thing that came to mind, I hope I can come up with two others, but the first thing that came to mind without question is not to ignore it. Like, I think there's a whole lot of when the moment comes to you, and the hero's journey, almost every hero's journey, whether it's from, I'm a huge superhero movie fan, so I watch every Marvel movie, and like almost every one of those heroes, I just think of Peter Parker, Spider-Man specifically, there's a reluctance. It's like, you've got the wrong person. I'm not the hero that you think I am. And they ignore it, and they run from it. I think that's the first thing that anyone has to do, is to acknowledge that this came to you for a reason. That's the first thing, is to believe that it wasn't a mistake that this moment chose you. I think the second thing, which is tricky, but not as tricky as we make it out to be, is to take action. Act. You don't even need to, people feel like, I need to know exactly from point A to point Z. I need to have all of the certainties in place before I move forward. You don't, that's not a thing. Maybe you don't get to sleep on it. Maybe you don't get a chance to, you just have to act, and you have to go. The world becomes a worse place when people who are inspired to do really cool things choose to not do something. So my thing is, take action, and it doesn't have to be perfect. What would be the one thing that you have within your control that you can do now? So for me, I would have, knowing what I know now, I would have behaved a lot differently 10 years ago, when I had the moment chose me. But what I would do now is, when a moment does choose me, like, I don't know what to do, but what's the first thing I can do? Well, if I want to share my writing, what I can do is I can at least write. I can open up a Word document and start typing. I don't need to share it with anyone, but it's the first step I can do, is taking that first action. And the third thing that I would do, so the first thing is, don't ignore it. The second thing is to take action. The third thing I would do is to be really thoughtful about who you share this moment with. And I want to be clear about this.
That's good.
There's certain people who, for whatever reason, need you to stay small, because you taking that risk, you doing something big, is, for whatever reason, to them, a reflection of their own shortcomings and why they haven't done something. So they may not do this intentionally, but what they do is to tell you, Charlene, yeah, you know how many podcasts fail? Too many people who, you just be happy with what you're doing. At least you have a job, and all these type of things that will slow you down. Right. So you have to be really thoughtful around who gets to be in your inner circle. Just like every club has a VIP section, right? They're not letting any fool walk through the VIP. It's like, no, fam, you're not. Are you on the list? Because I need to make sure that you are the right person that I can share this with. And it's not looking for blind encouragement. That's not what I'm saying. But it's also someone who's like, hey, I want to give you some feedback about maybe what's around the corner that you're not aware of. But most importantly, I believe in you and your ability to do this, because it's amazing how many dreams put in the wrong hands get killed prematurely.
Absolutely.
And when the moment chooses you, it's easy for someone to be like, no, that was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be you. It was supposed to be someone else. And then the amount of people who tragically believe that, which is really sad. So yeah, the third thing is make sure you have the right people who you share that moment with.
Oh, that's so huge, Shola. It is so huge because really, I have had just what you said. Oh, you know what? Podcasting is not for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not for your message. So, thank you so much for that. So,
Can I challenge them on that, Charlene? God, I hope
please
one of them are
do.
listening, because
I hope they
it's
are.
like, who are podcasts for? Like, who's the person who? That he's the person for a podcast. Every single person who has a huge following started
Right.
off with zero. They didn't start out. They
Exactly.
didn't roll in there with 5,000 pre-made followers when they launched a podcast, unless you're a huge celebrity saying, "Hey guys, I already have a following. I'm gonna start a podcast." But everyone else, the rest of us who built up something from nothing, from scratch, they had to do this the hard way. So for anyone to be like, "Oh, Charlene, it's hard," the one thing that is worth remembering is that all advice is autobiographical, meaning everyone is only
Absolutely.
telling you the story from their vantage point. When they say that you can't do this, what they're really saying is that I couldn't do it. But they can't say what you're capable of, and it's always worth remembering
Absolutely.
that.
I am not like, I love how you say like excellence and all those things. And I have to admit, like I have full imposter syndrome, and I have that full perspective of like, I wasn't like the A plus top of the class nursing student. Like I struggled through and I failed and I struggled. I remember to this day crying one day after failing a class, my first anatomy class, and being like, I'm never gonna be a nurse. And I think those moments, right? Like I still viscerally remember sitting there telling myself, like, what have you done? What have you signed up for? You can't do this. And so I think for me that, like you talk about moments as a very young, because I entered nursing school like at 18, right out of high school, I went right in. I think that was like the start of, okay, am I going to make the decision of, yes, I failed, and so I'm either going to pivot or change, or I'm going to listen to maybe people who are like, yeah, you might not be able to do this, or you aren't kind of meeting those areas that we anticipate. And then choosing to either say, okay, am I going to challenge that? And am I going to continue to try? And am I going to continue to be uncomfortable? And I think a lot of the moments in my life have really settled in on making the decision of discomfort and challenge. And what I have found is that has really what has pushed me, I think, to that next level. Um, and so that, that first visceral moment of, I've had all these nursing faculties. I don't have a 4.0. I'm not going to get into nursing school. That's the rhetoric. And then finding my path in what works for me. And I think that's a lot of what we do. And do people have that moment to say, yeah, this is going to hurt, and this is going to be hard, and this is going to make me feel really out of my element, but is it still the right thing for me? And I think that is what I have loved in the challenges I faced, is finding that, yep, it's still right for me. Okay, let's get my battle gear on.
I
Let's do
know
it.
I love
So,
that. You know what? I want to pause there because that's so rich that you talked about being uncomfortable. Because I think a lot of people stay stuck because of
yeah.
comfort and they don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to feel the uncertainty and all of that. So, if there's any people out there right now, Kendall, that's stuck, they're stuck. They're kind of waking up, going through the motions,
Yeah.
going to work, coming back home, going to bed, that whole rat
Yeah.
race type of things, but they don't want to get uncomfortable. Any ideas that you can say for those folks that's stuck out there?
Oh, completely. I think the first one is, if it were the right thing and it was the thing that you wanted, right? It's never going to be easy. Like there can't be the understanding of like, I want to get there and I want to do these things and I want to reach that goal. Or I want to be that type of person, without assuming that it's going to take work. Whether that's, I need more knowledge, so I need to go back to school, or I need to get this experience, or I need to have these behaviors. I love how you talk about like my personality, but that's a curation in and of itself. Like having the time to say, I'm choosing to be that type of person, and I'm choosing to have those moments with people, and I'm choosing to set myself and my heart in a place that I want to be driven by positivity and light. And yeah, so if it were easy, if it was something you wanted and it was easy, you'd already have it. So it's probably not
Exactly.
easy. So you're going to have to go and do something for it. Because if it was easy, you'd have it already and you'd just be done. So it's going to be a goal. So you have to work
Yeah.
towards that. And I think the other thing is too, as you know, surrounding yourself with people who can celebrate you and
Yes.
see, your drive. And that moment of me crying in the car, my now husband sat there with me and was like, it's okay, let's go get ice cream. So
Yes.
finding the people who can like be that cheerleader, and which is what I love in my career now, because I feel like I get to be other people's cheerleaders. I get to help get them maybe over to that finish line, like you. Like, how
Yeah.
can I get you there? Because that fills me. And so you've got to find people in your life who are going to do that for you. And you have to celebrate yourself, and other people have to celebrate you, and be
Yes.
in places where you are recognized and loved. And I think that is such a secret sauce for both businesses and individuals, that we forget there has to be a moment of like celebration and love and encouragement
Yeah,
as you meet those
absolutely.
milestones.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that because you said your answer is to look, it's gonna be hard. Nobody
Yeah.
promised you it was gonna be easy.
No,
So
no.
lean into it, lean into
Yeah.
the discomfort, embrace
Yeah.
it, and find out what those little jewels are in there. Every time I feel myself get comfortable, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And so I get this like unrest within me when I'm too comfortable. And that's like literally why I early retired, because I was like, Shirley, you can just keep coasting if you want to.
Yeah.
But then something within you that knows that you should be doing more kind of pushes you to do a little bit more. So thank you so much for helping someone out there, because I was talking to someone the other day and my heart was just so heavy for this person. They're in the nursing profession, they're exhausted. They
Mm.
hate going to work, but they're still going because of the financial
Yeah.
part. They got to take care of their family. And so, but I just think it's such a disservice for yourself when you don't really do the work and get beyond the fear of trying something new. Kind of like what you were talking about. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but I mean, on the other side of that is going to be such beauty there waiting for you, and you were waiting to do that. I was talking to Shola really quick. He had told me to do a podcast like a long time ago.
Oh. He already saw it in you. He knew. He was like,
Yeah,
get it.
he
Get it
did.
done.
It was like, look, you are going to regret that you are taking so long to make a decision.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was like, you know what? And after 2 years later, I was like, yeah, you know what? You're so right. Because once I did it, it was like, oh my God, this has been so inspirational for me. I thought I was doing it to inspire other people, but it has
Yeah.
been pouring into me because I get to interview people like you and other change agents and trailblazers that are just out there just slaying it. You don't have it all together, but you're slaying it, and you're demonstrating that. So I totally appreciate that. So Kendall, tell me some highlights of your career.
Oh, gosh.
You probably
Uh,
got plenty.
I've plenty, but I think right, there's those big moments where I have, graduate, like right now, like I'm in my PhD program, and I will say, being the person who went to like school and was like, I'm not going to graduate my undergraduate degree. Like I can't, like I still
Yes.
feel like I'm saying that. Like I can't be a nurse. Kendall, you've been a nurse for 15 years. Um, but like you said, I have found for me that I very much like to walk the walk, and that's kind of my internal drive. Like if I'm going to be somebody's cheerleader and say, yep, you can go to school and you can get these things
Yeah.
and you can move forward, and then not do that myself, I feel like that's such a disservice to the words I'm putting out in the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think for me, every time I take on something that I have told myself I can't do it, I'm not able to do it, um I think that has been like the biggest moments in my life, both as a career. I don't think I can be a director of a nursing school. I'm too young. um I am a younger leader, that. And with
Yeah.
that comes a lot of perceptions about capabilities or knowledge. And so I think those moments have been really great for me. I've had some great recognition through my positions for some of those skills, which is always, like, heck yeah, I love
Yeah.
a good award.
Yes.
But I think for me, my big highlights really have been those times where I've been like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go work at a big level for NICU and take care of like the sickest of the sick and push myself to that place, or I'm going to go get my PhD, even though I have no idea what I'm doing with research. And the fact that I'm doing it is just terrifying. But trying. And so I think that in my career, you know, every time I've gotten a certification, when I've told myself, like, I took the whole NCLEX, the entire thing, all 265 questions. Anybody out there who has to take your boards, I took the whole thing, was in the testing center sobbing. I had a job on the line. I knew I was like waiting please shut off, please shut off, please shut off. And another question would pop up. But those have been the most rewarding and exciting and amazing. And even my last position, I think what I have loved is those moments where I have been able to see people. I got my degree. You helped me go back to school. I got my certification. You helped me tell me I could do that. So those are, again, just those, heck yeah, that feels awesome. I love those.
I want to thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of When the Moment Chooses You. I'm your host, Coach Charlene, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Each journey we've shared today is a reminder that when the moment chooses you, the possibilities are endless.